to as the Hearst Fire, has erupted in the Sylmar area of Los Angeles. Now, together, these fires are stretching the capacity of emergency services to their maximum limits. The Los Angeles City Fire Department is battling these two major fires while also maintaining, I want to focus on this as well, 911 services for the city's approximate 4 million residents. Now, despite the severity of the conditions, our department remains fully committed to safeguarding lives and property. Next, I want to focus on what we've done over the last 24 hours, and with that, even within the city of Los Angeles, with these two major brush fires, our department has responded to 3,624 911 calls for service. And to put that in perspective, our average is just under 1,500 calls in a 24-hour period. Over the last 24 hours, we've also responded to an additional 32 structure fires within the city. We've treated and transported an extensive number of medical emergencies, well extending our normal 650 transports to the local hospitals. When it comes to the Pacific Palisades Fire, as Chief Maroney had said, this is over 3,000 acres at this point and continues to grow. We will confirm the exact acreage later, so we'll make sure that we also communicate that to the community and to the media. Last night, as of 1930 hours, all aircrafts were grounded due to high winds. Aircraft are continuing to be able to resume their water drops and acreage mapping today when the weather allows us to do so. A total of 3,398 civilians and 15,105 structures are in the evacuation zone. And again, the evacuation zones are the following: north of PCH, west of Kenter Avenue and San Vicente Boulevard, south of Mulholland Drive, and east of Topanga Canyon Boulevard. There are multiple evacuation centers which are supported by the American Red Cross. Injuries. Of course, there's a lot of interest in injuries. We have several firefighters and civilian injuries that have been reported, and all patients have been treated and transported to the local hospitals. Damage assessments. Chief Maroney did speak about a specific number. We are still vetting that through on the city side, so more information to come, and we will message that as soon as we can validate that. Approximately 400 LAPD firefighters have been deployed to the Palisades Fire. We have many hundreds of law enforcement officers, our partner agency responders, and public works members engaged in supporting our overall operations. We are going to be transitioning to CAL FIRE this morning to manage this incident at 0800 hours. Next, I'd like to talk briefly about our Hearst Fire, which is located in Sylmar. Last night at approximately 10:10 p.m., the fire erupted in the Sylmar area of Los Angeles, adjacent to Los Angeles National Forest. The fire has rapidly expanded to over 500 acres, prompting the emergency evacuation of more than 3,000 residents. This fire is burning within the footprint of the historic Saddle Ridge Fire. Now, despite the extreme winds and significant risks, and that's what we're going to be talking about from today and probably throughout the next few days, there's always that significant risk of life and property, and we'll continue to focus on saving lives and protecting property. The exact anchorage at this point will be confirmed later, and we'll make sure that we communicate that to you as well. Lastly, we want to make sure that everybody understands we are absolutely not out of danger yet. With the strong winds that continue to push through the city and the county today, I will tell you, and we are all committed to our first responders, our firefighters will remain focused on protecting lives and property. The LAPD is extremely proud to stand with all of the entities behind me. Our top priority will continue to be life safety, ensuring that safe evacuation and the rescues of our residents that are in harm's way. It will continue to be our primary focus in this wind-driven fire event as it continues. Thank you for your cooperation, your support, and your diligence. And today, we will continue to stand with our partners to protect everyone. Next up, I would like to introduce Sheriff Luna. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Next up.
Yes, we're just moving around, having Ellie, Unified Superintendent, much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair Barger, county and city leadership, in addition to the leadership of our first responders in our great community for the very, very important work you continue to do to protect our community, protect the assets, and first and foremost, the health and well-being and lives of members of our community. Los Angeles Unified is the second largest school district in the nation, representing the interests of 540,000 students and 75,000 committed employees. We make decisions regarding closure of schools in a very methodical and science-driven manner. So after a great deal of consultation overnight with experts looking at the data and considering the fact that air quality conditions deteriorated significantly overnight, we have made the decision to shut down a number of schools, particularly in the eastern part of our school system. I will define what those boundaries are. School communities, beginning with leadership, workforce, and families have been informed about these areas, and as of now, those schools within the boundaries of the area that I will define are closed. This accounts for about 10% of our total schools.
Bro, I don't mean it like that. Oh my God, it's always the same thing with you, man. I'm not like, I'm not saying stop texting. It's just like a lot of thoughts are being put into text right now, and I'm having to read all this now. So whatever. If you want, you can call me.
And south of Highway 134. Any school within that area, and that accounts again for the eastern part of our district, where the air quality met or exceeded levels that are not appropriate for employees or students to be around, are effectively shut down. We will be making decisions about what will happen in those schools going into tomorrow by 4 p.m. today based on the evolution conditions. In fact, since we made the decision to shut down those schools, air quality conditions have improved significantly despite the fact that they worsened significantly overnight. I want to speak specifically about schools surrounding the Palisades area. As of last night, we had to shut down 5 schools as a result of mandatory evacuation conditions. Those were Kinter Canyon Elementary School, Canyon Elementary School, Marquez Elementary School, Palisades Charter Elementary School, Revere Middle School, and Topanga Elementary School, in addition to Palisades High Charter High School. We have reports that Palisades High sustained significant damage as a result of the fire. We are working with state and federal entities to quickly access resources to address the issues facing this community. I want to very briefly address our workforce. We know today is not going to be a perfect day. A number of schools are shut down. However, localized conditions may make it difficult for our workforce, or parents and students.
And I know that I didn't, but I mean, like, I just said it's a lot because like I had to read all that and it was coming in kind of fast. And I just said that so you could like slow it down a little bit. But then you have to tell me good night. You know, like, you ain't gotta be like that.
Specifically, students and employees who face chronic respiratory conditions or other health issues. We will be flexible regarding these individuals.
And now I'm telling you, you can call me and you keep texting.
Today, regarding conditions of schools going into tomorrow. For the schools that are open, recognizing the workforce needs of the parents of our children. Beyond the bell activities, care for children in those schools will continue to be provided today. Today is not a typical day. We need flexibility, patience, and grace. We shall extend that to our workforce and certainly our parents and students in our community. Once again, our hearts go out to those who have been impacted, and our eternal gratitude to the first responders of our community for the fantastic, difficult work they've done over the past 24 hours. Thank you very much.
Morning. A lot of information to pass on, but please know this. This is a very difficult and challenging situation, but we're surrounded here by people who really care, and we're going to get through this together. That means with all of you as partners in our community. Our top priority continues to be the safety and well-being of our impacted residents, first responders, and all of the individuals involved. But understand that this is a very fluid situation, specifically in the Altadena area, and a lot of our personnel, our deputy personnel, are involved in life-saving measures as we speak now. We are working very closely with local, state, and federal agencies to provide necessary resources and support. We have been in constant communication with both our fire and law enforcement partners across LA County and beyond to ensure that all available resources that are needed are being deployed strategically and effectively, but we are prioritizing life over everything else. There are over several hundred Sheriff Department personnel working around the clock to evacuate residents in danger, assist with road closures, and respond to multiple missions that are given to us, and they do change periodically depending on that life mission. To ensure that everyone is going to be safe or safe as possible, additional personnel will likely be assigned to this fire as this continues to go, and you heard from our fire partners that there is no containment here. I do want to split it up into two. I want to start talking about the Eaton fire first. Currently, there are evacuation orders in Pasadena, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. Evacuation orders, there are approximately 32,500 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 13,186 structures that we deem at risk, and that could grow. Evacuation warnings, approximately 38,600 residents are under evacuation warnings and approximately 14,342 structures are at risk. At 4 a.m. this morning, the evacuation orders did expand to parts of the city of Duarte, Monrovia, and La Cañada. And again, we continue to assess that. That's evolving. That's going to change. So I encourage you to consistently pay attention to all sources of information so you're ready to go when you are given that order, if that does come. As information is changing, even as I was driving up here, even as I'm walking up to this podium, I'm getting messages about several of our employees who have lost their homes in the last several hours. I don't know how many because we are still gathering that information, but like we all live here in Los Angeles County, so we are impacted, so we're going to make sure that within our department, we're wrapping our arms around our employees just like we do with community members. Again, as I was coming up here, I did find out that we did have 2 fatalities in this area. I don't have any specifics. There is a lot of damage out there. We're still in the process of doing these assessments, trying to still save lives. So this information is going to change. The Altadena Sheriff Station itself was evacuated, and it was at least limited on fire. There was some fire at the Altadena Station, but we did have to clear out all of our employees out of there. I'm hearing some miraculous stories, and they're just barely coming in, of our deputies who were trying to evacuate the Altadena Station, and then residents were running up from different locations around there, asking them for assistance in getting them out of their structures. And from what I understand, they were barely able to get people out before these structures started burning. There's just heroic stories of what our deputies are doing out there from last night and this morning. I want to make sure people know deputies are working to assist residents who are evacuating and continuing to make evacuation notices as we're speaking. They are securing areas that are evacuated, and it's always sad when I have to say this, but part of our responsibility is to make sure that no one loots or steals from our residents, our community members who are already being impacted. And I'm sad to report we made 2 arrests this morning for looting already. So if you are thinking about coming into any of these areas to steal from our residents, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be caught, you're going to be arrested, and you're going to be prosecuted. Don't do that. Stay out of these areas. It's only for emergency workers and people who live there. We are, at this point, unable to clearly determine the extent of damage at this point because the conditions are rapidly evolving and the destruction needs to be assessed as the daylight hours have come forward. I do know that I've lost at least one sheriff's black and white to a fire. Thank God that the deputy is okay, but deputies continue to be on patrol throughout the road closure areas to ensure evacuation areas remain closed to the public. All schools in the Pasadena Unified School District are closed. There is a road closure at Altamina Drive from Allen to New York Drive. For those in need of shelter, please head to the Pasadena Convention Center, located at 300 East Green Street in the city of Pasadena. And we're working with them in Unified Command and in partnership as well. For animals, there are established shelters at Large Animal Shelter Rose Bowl Stadium at 1001 Rose Bowl Drive in Pasadena. Small Animal Shelter, Pasadena Humane Society at 361 South Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. I'm going to switch gears now to the Palisades fire that we've been heavily involved in with our partners, again with LAPD and LA City Fire and everyone else that's up there working. As of this morning, the fire is still burning in that area. That's impacting our residents. Evacuations are in effect, continuously in effect for the city of Calabasas, the city of Malibu, Los Angeles City, Pacific Palisades, and unincorporated area of Los Angeles County and Topanga Canyon. Evacuation orders are approximately 37,000 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 15,000 structures at risk. Again, that's specifically for the Palisades fire. Evacuation warnings, approximately 20,000 residents are under evacuation warnings and approximately 6,500 structures are at risk. There have been minor injuries and our partners at the fire department have talked about those and several unfortunately structures that have been lost and we're still assessing those. Bear with me, I'm almost there. There's a lot of information, very important information. There are several road closures which can change rapidly. The top three are at Lincoln Boulevard. Southbound PCH about those and several unfortunately structures that have been lost and we're still assessing those. Bear with me, I'm almost there. There's a lot of information, very important information.
Another large one to the northeast of Los Angeles, near Altadena, the Pasadena area, where there have been 2 fatalities. Overall, over 1,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed in these fires. A third fire burning in the Sylmar area, that would be north of Los Angeles. Let's go straight to Jacob Soboroff in Palisades, California right now. This is the scene we've been watching throughout the night and into the early part of today. Homes, many of them beachfront homes along the famed Pacific Coast Highway, destroyed. Jacob, describe the situation there now. The sun obviously up. How is that affecting things?
Lester, it feels, and I'm trying not to exaggerate here, catastrophic, disastrous. Something, I think, the likes of which people like myself, who's a lifelong resident not only of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, but also of this neighborhood of Pacific Palisades, where I was born and raised, has never seen before. There are 23,000 people that live in this beautiful coastal community between the foothills of the Santa Monica Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. And those tens of thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate because of exactly what you're seeing. This used to be a house, and everywhere you look, there are scenes just like this. Up and down Sunset Boulevard, the famed Sunset Boulevard from where I'm standing right now, all the way into the Palisades Village. Every marker of this once vibrant community is gone. The grocery stores are gone, both of them. The gas stations are gone. Doctors' offices are gone. The public library, where I grew up going as a child and have brought my own children, gone. What's different about this? How could this have happened? These are the questions that I continue to hear asked, and the answer is what you heard in that press conference. The reason that the air quality is so awful right now, as they were discussing, is that these are hurricane-force winds that we have seen gusting in the Los Angeles area, and it was a tinderbox ready to go. We have had virtually no rain over the course of the last several months after 2 years of pretty intense rain, unusual for Southern California where we're so used to droughts, and everything went up in an instant. It started in the Palisades Highlands, where you might have seen those pictures of what seemed like hundreds of cars abandoned on the side of the road, people literally running for their lives, bulldozers clearing the streets so first responders could come in. And to echo what you heard from the folks looking out for the life and safety of the people in Los Angeles at that press conference, there's a mutual aid situation going on right now in Los Angeles, meaning it's the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the Los Angeles County Fire Department, neighboring jurisdictions like Malibu, Santa Monica have come to help here. The Los Angeles Police Department is on a modified citywide tactical alert, which means some of the nearly 9,000 or 10,000 police officers that are all called into duty today throughout the city of Los Angeles are being dispatched here to not only order evacuations from people who may not have left, and if there are anybody who is still in a home right now, it is well past time to get out, but also to control traffic, to keep people out, to let the first responders do their job. Lester, I think a lot of times we think about what the big one might look like as far as an earthquake in Southern California. Well, this is the big one when it comes to a fire here, Lester. Yeah, Jacob, I've been covering wildfires in Northern and Southern California since the earliest days of my career, going back into the late 70s. I've never seen anything like this. Do you agree? There's no doubt about it. The idea that LA is a city of communities, Lester. You know this just as well as anyone from the time that you have spent here. And Pacific Palisades is one of those vibrant communities. Pacific Palisades, for all intents and purposes, as we know it, has been wiped off the map as I'm speaking to you today from a neighborhood that I grew up a couple streets away from, Lester. It is a bleak situation. It's going to take not months but years to recover, and countless dollars, the toll of which we don't know yet. All right, Jacob, I know you and your team are putting in the long hours in a dangerous situation, so please stay safe. Let's go to Al Roker now. Let's get the latest in the forecast, Al. The worst is yet to come. There are still some high winds in this storm, or this windstorm. That's right, and it is, you know, Lester, you actually, this is for all intents and purposes a fire cane. Okay, we're talking about hurricane force winds with a firestorm attached to it. Right now, almost 3,000 acres, the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, 2,200 acres, Hearst fire, 500, and we're actually picking up particulate matter on the radar from these fires. That's how bad it is. Winds gusts right now, sustained winds, 45 to 95 miles per hour, as you can see, from Topanga Canyon all the way to Pacific Palisades. Now, here's what we are looking at. This is what's causing all these problems, these destructive winds with 100-mile-per-hour gusts. We're talking about the humidity, single digits, and that leads to explosive fire growth. So 19 million people at risk north of Ventura all the way down to San Diego. It's a particularly dangerous situation. And the fire risk right now, critical, just north of Los Angeles to Santa Clarita and Oxnard, all the way down to Temecula and further south. We've got a critical to extreme risk for these areas. Here's what's happening. We've got a pressure gradient, high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and those winds are being squeezed between the two pressure systems. And what that's doing is bringing those Santa Ana winds, powerful winds coming in here. Add to that the low humidity and the fact that since October 1st, less than 10% of average rainfall has fallen in Southern California. And again, those winds, the big problem. Wind gust 69 in Simi Valley, Los Angeles 63, Mission Viejo 52-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that's going to be the problem over the next 12 to 18 hours. Those wind gusts are going to be such that it's going to be hard for those firefighters to put up aircraft to be able to take a look at what's going on and to drop water on them, Lester. So right now, we've got at least another 18 hours of explosively dangerous conditions. Not good at all. Al Roker, thank you. And that concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCnews.com, and of course, a full wrap-up tonight when I see you here for NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt. Good day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Top story coming on the air right now with breaking news out of Los Angeles, and that's because the city is under a state of emergency as firefighters work to contain multiple dangerous wildfires ripping through the city of Angels. This is a live look right now, and you can see in the distance there, that is not a cloud. That is a massive smoke-filled sky. You can no longer see the horizon there. This is looking out from Los Angeles International Airport, and you can see the danger right now that the city of Los Angeles is facing. It is shrouded in smoke. The second largest city in the country, millions of people there, and of course the center of the entertainment universe, now threatened by this fast-moving blaze because of those winds. Chilling new images tonight of cars burning in the streets, traffic snarled on major highways as several drivers, had to actually abandon their vehicles. The flames tearing through the iconic Hollywood Hills. Officials say dry conditions on the ground and whipping winds are fueling the spread, making the wildfire even more dangerous than recent ones in the region. The cloud of smoke over LA visible for miles. Miraculously, authorities saying tonight that no injuries yet have been reported, but the governor was just saying some people did not heed the evacuation orders. Now, the fire scorching more than 1,200 acres and counting, powered by strong winds that could reach up to 100 miles per hour. At least 250 firefighters have been deployed to fight the blaze. You're talking about firefighters from all over the state and all over Southern California. With 19 million people under red flag warnings, many of them also in the evacuation zone, which covers part of the northwest LA area. This is where the fire is happening right now, the evacuation zones. It is in the Palisades, that area of Los Angeles right there, and it's threatening Santa Monica and the surrounding communities. Now, also, Will Rogers Beach, which is a very popular tourist destination near Santa Monica, has been evacuated as well. Residents seen grabbing what belongings they can carry and fleeing their homes. This is what the scene looks like, at least in one neighborhood. 30,000 people are now under evacuation orders. We want to begin our coverage tonight with Liz Kreutz, who's live for us tonight in Los Angeles. Liz, I want you to walk our viewers through what your day has been like over the past couple of hours. I know you were in some type of danger. You had to get out and reconnect with your crew. Talk to us about what you're seeing there behind you.
Hey, Tom, yeah, it has been a really volatile, chaotic day for us, for so many people here right now. We made it out of the area where we had gotten stuck along with others in gridlock traffic. At one point, there were flames on both sides of the road. A bulldozer had to come through and push through abandoned cars to create a path, which is how we made it here to the Pacific Coast Highway. It is extremely windy. Just before you came to me, it felt like it was going to knock us over. It feels like the winds are pushing the flames towards the coast right now. We were seeing flames in the distance just moments ago. You see that intense smoke, and this is just getting started.
Tonight, panic in the Pacific Palisades as a wind-driven wildfire blazes through one of Southern California's most iconic neighborhoods.
People are panicking, and it's a parking lot, so there's about an hour wait at the bottom of Palisades Drive.
I rushed over here to pack my belongings, and I got the evacuation orders.
Multiple homes burning, with residents told to get out, some people getting trapped.
The homeowners are saying they're unable to access any exit routes. There's fire on both sides of the road.
Many abandoning their cars in the gridlock traffic. Fire crews using a bulldozer to push cars out of the way to clear a path.
We are in bumper-to-bumper traffic right now as hundreds of people try to get out. You can see flames here on both sides of the road with very little visibility.
Right around, up and around those two homes, they didn't catch fire, but everything around them did.
Our NBC Los Angeles station inside this hard-hit neighborhood.
This is a large clock here, a large, what looks like an antique, very beautiful family clock here on the ground. There are also photo albums that the firefighters pulled from the home just minutes before the flames overtook it, because they said that they felt like they at least wanted to save something.
Smoke from the growing fire seen for miles around LA, where another brush fire ignited in West Hollywood.
This is something you hardly ever see. We are in the heart of LA on Sunset Boulevard, where there was a brush fire that shut down the road here. All these firefighters trying to get ahead of the wind, putting out the flames that were up in these hills.
Firefighters using airdrops to put out the flames. Tonight, 19 million people under red flag warnings, with wind gusts throughout the state expected to reach 100 miles per hour in some areas, sending trees onto cars and power lines.
The only thing I heard above that wind was the power lines popping.
The intense smoke creating dangerous air quality across Southern California, with the firefight continuing into the night, where high winds are expected to only further fan the flames.
And Liz, we know that a news conference was just taking place before we came on the air. Update our viewers with any important information that came out of that news conference.
Yeah, Tom, so right now we know that this fire has exploded to more than 1,200 acres. 30,000 people are under evacuation orders right now. 10,000 structures are threatened right now. We know of multiple homes that have burned. We've also heard reports of people trapped, although officials are saying right now that there are no reports of injuries, which is truly remarkable, Tom, considering how fast this fire came through this neighborhood. But again, the winds are picking up, and the winds are expected to just grow throughout the night and fan the flames. We'll see, Tom.
Liz, there was a remarkable moment there in your story where you showed exactly what people in Los Angeles, some people in Los Angeles, were going through. There was fire on both sides of your news vehicle. How did you and the crew, how were you guys able to get out of that?
Yeah, so, in that moment, of course, we had a moment where we realized, okay, this is not a great situation to be in, since behind us and in front of us was gridlock, back-to-back traffic. We did look on the map, and we knew that about a half mile in front of us was an area which we would call defensible space. It was a strip mall where there was a Starbucks, so our get-out plan, if we needed to, was to get out and walk on foot to that area. Thankfully, right away, there was a firefighters that came around. They came and knocked on our window. They told us, you're okay, you're going to be safe, just keep your windows rolled up, hang tight, and they put out the flames around us.
You know,
so
Los Angeles is
remarkable work, all those firefighters.
Yeah, incredible. Los Angeles is a massive city. We were seeing some images out of LAX. Yeah. Have they stopped flights yet? What is sort of the concern at the airports? And then give me sort of a big picture perspective. Is this crippling the city of Los Angeles, or is this just happening in a corner of that massive city?
Yeah, well, we've heard that flights out of the Burbank airport, which is a smaller airport here in LA, have stopped right now. It's just extraordinarily smoky. And you know traffic, Tom, is bad in LA as it is. This has had a ripple effect, creating congestion throughout the city, particularly in this area. But this is an extraordinarily populated area. It's also created extreme smoky conditions that are impacting people beyond this western part of the city. And so it's having a ripple effect. And on top of that, like I said, there was that fire on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. So that created its own level of congestion. And then throughout the day, there have been smaller spot fires down in San Diego, in Riverside County. So this whole region, millions of people, Tom, have been impacted by this.
Okay, Liz Kreutz, starting us off tonight on Top Story on this breaking news. Liz, thank you to you and your crew. Please stay safe. I want to go to national climate reporter Chase Kane, who's on the ground in the fire zone at the intersection of the Pacific Coast Highway and, as you heard Liz mention, Sunset Boulevard. A very active scene behind you there, Chase. Talk to us about what you've been seeing over the past couple of hours.
Yeah, Tom, didn't realize I was actually just up the road from where Liz was, so I was making my way on foot after they had evacuated people out of those vehicles on Sunset Boulevard. This is the Pacific Coast Highway right here behind me, the famous highway that goes up the California coast. You can see these utility crews that have come in. Just a few moments ago, there was an ember that caught fire at the bottom of this power pole. So one of the gas station employees had come out with a garden hose and was doing his best to try and spray down the flame that was burning there at the base of this power line, also at a gas station. Not a great combination there. So that's why the utility crews are here. It looks like cutting power to the area. We are basically in the direction of where the wind and the smoke has been blowing. As the wind gusts pick up, we just get these thick balls of black smoke, Tom. Even as I was making my way down here to my crew on foot, I was seeing home after home burning, because with winds this strong, it picks up that ember and it just goes flying through the air. Whatever it catches is on fire. In some cases, that was homes, it was trees, it was cars, which have been abandoned here along Sunset Boulevard, Tom. Again, this entire area is under a mandatory evacuation. Nearly 30,000 people have been asked to leave their homes, and at times police have been kind of frantic, just running through with sirens, with announcements, trying to get people out of the way, because this fire, this wind is making things incredibly dangerous, Tom.
Chase, you know, your photographer there, when he goes wide on you, we can see that web of power lines above your head. And you mentioned that they were cutting power there. I know they've cut power to tens of thousands of residents in Los Angeles. Explain to our viewers why they're doing that, right? Because this is reminiscent of what we saw in Lahaina in Hawaii during the wildfires, where if you have down power lines, you have a wildfire, it can reignite other fires that have been put out.
Exactly. One live power line comes down and all of a sudden you have a brand new fire. You don't need that making the situation worse, because with these winds blowing 50 miles an hour, tropical storm force winds, Tom, when you have winds that are blowing that strong, they're already doing enough damage, pulling embers from existing fires. You don't want a power line adding yet another fire on top of that.
Yeah, and then finally, I'm not seeing a lot of cars in your area. Is it safe to say the people who were going to get out or who needed to get out have been able to get out, or is it because the road where you are is now closed?
this road, Pacific Coast Highway and Sunset, have been closed now for several hours. There was a stream of even just a couple of cars now that are coming through as people maybe have gotten trapped in the area, and so they're saying, hey, you got to get the car out of the way because we need to be able to get fire trucks through here. You see a couple of those cars right now. Some people maybe were trapped in their homes. Some people were trying to get home to get their last few important things. But yeah, I mean, this is really it. They're trying to keep the roads clear so that they can still protect what they can, Tom.
Chase, if your photographer can stay on this shot here, I mean, give me a rough estimate here. Is the visibility about 100 feet, 100 yards? I mean, it looks like you can't look too far out there because then all you see is smoke.
Yeah, I would say if you're a football fan, 50, 60 yards, certainly not a full football field of visibility. You might be able to see, you see the gas station here. If you pan just to the right, you see a Taco Bell sign, and just behind that, there's a grocery store. There's a condo building even further behind that. This is an incredibly densely populated area right here along the coast. You know, if this was clear, if this smoke wasn't here, you'd be able to see the famous Santa Monica Pier with that iconic Ferris wheel on the pier. That would be within our line of sight. But again, you can only see maybe 50 or 60 yards. And when those wind gusts pick up and blow that thick smoke through here, there have been times that I haven't even been able to see to the other side of the road, Tom.
Chase, I know you've been down there for a while. Do you know how much time the residents in that area were given to evacuate?
Some of them had minutes. Some of them had moments. I mean, there was one moment earlier where LA police came through and said, hey, there's a mobile home where the fire has just blown down this canyon toward this mobile home park, and we're struggling to get people out quickly enough. We also, when we were on with Hallie Jackson just a little while ago, there was a lady who was being pushed in a wheelchair through this closed road because she needed help to get out. I mean, she just wasn't able to move quickly. So it's dangerous for anyone right now, but imagine not being able to move quickly. Imagine needing help. That's what makes this especially dangerous for folks like that. Again, thankfully, the utility crews are here. Looks like they're turning off power. Some of the lights have gone dark inside the gas station, so that's a good sign.
And
here,
then
Tom.
finally, Chase, you know, we heard of people evacuating, getting stuck in traffic, abandoning their vehicles, and then running towards the beach. Talk to us about the scenario of why that happened.
Well, because you had two things happening. This actually happened to me as well. We were not far behind Liz Kreutz. Basically, you had people who were being told, get out of here. So they are creating gridlock in one direction. The emergency alert is also going off in my ear on the phone right now. And then you have other people who were trying to get back home to their homes, Tom. So you had... So sorry about that, Tom. We're getting an emergency alert in my ear, if you can still hear me. But basically, you had people trying to get to their homes to get things out, and then you also had people trying to evacuate. So that's why you had that gridlock in both directions. You may even be able to hear in my earpiece these emergency alerts that are going out, trying to urge people to get out of harm's way, Tom.
Okay, Chase, please stay safe with your crew, and obviously if you guys are in danger, get to some safety. We're going to stand by for us because I'm sure we're going to come back to you. I do want to get to Dr. Ashay Sayal. He's an NBC News medical fellow, but he happens to be on the scene in Santa Monica. So we've enlisted him to report for us during this breaking news situation. So, Doctor, first things first, talk to us about the air quality where you are, and we see that massive storm, smoke cloud behind you.
Hey, Tom. Yeah, so this cloud here, those are clouds. That's all smoke, Tom. And where I live in Santa Monica, we're about a mile out from the mandatory evacuation orders. Just for folks who don't know, Santa Monica is just immediately south of the Pacific Palisades, about a mile or so away. I mean, so essentially, we've been watching that cloud come closer and closer to us. And so, Tom, I work at UCLA Health. I'm a practicing physician there, and we just heard from our emergency response system. So as of now, everything is on for business as usual. But we really are encouraging people to bring these out, these KN95s, if you are somebody who has asthma or heart disease or any sort of lung disease. It really is a good idea to bring this on, even if you aren't in the immediate vicinity.
I know you have your mask off because you're reporting live, but talk to me about the air quality there. How dangerous is it right now?
It's getting worse, Tom. I mean, to just put it bluntly, it smells like barbecue. It smells like smoke out here. So we worry about those people with chronic disease, with asthma and other lung disease. It's not something you may see immediately. It may be something that you're fine now, but in a few days you really start to see that effect. And we've seen that as wildfires have taken hold in other parts of the country, including in Manhattan, just not too long ago. So, Tom, to answer your question, it is getting worse, and we're really, really urging people to put these on if you are nearby.
How fast, I'm sure you were watching it all day, how fast did this fire spread?
Well, I can tell you in the morning when I woke up, there was none of this here. And then over the span of a few hours, you're hearing sirens every few minutes here. Fire trucks presumably headed north to the Palisades. It's really spread over a matter of hours, Tom. What really worries us is that experts are predicting these winds to pick up in the night and to get worse. And so we're worried that this is only the beginning.
Okay, Dr. Akshay Syal, we thank you so much for joining our coverage. For more on the exploding wildfire, I'm joined live now by Sue Cole. She's the president of the Pacific Palisades Community Council. She had to evacuate, is now in the Westchester neighborhood of Los Angeles. Sue, walk me through why you had to evacuate and what you saw as you were leaving.
Well, the good news is, I mean, there's very little good news, but we've had notifications from the city for the last couple of days that we were going to have terrible wind conditions and a fire could easily erupt. So we were sort of on the ready. This morning started out normally heavy winds, and a lot of us in town heard at about 10:15, 10:20 that a fire had broken out. At first, the evacuation was only meant for areas like the Highlands, the top of Bienvenida, areas that were in the hills. But very quickly, more notifications came saying everybody in town, needs to evacuate. I had calls from a lot of people saying, well, I don't think so. We're in the village, we're in the flats. I told everybody, take your pets, take your medications, take everything that can't be replaced and get out. My family left pretty quickly because I for one, am not a risk taker. So the main problem the Palisades have, as you've seen on all the news reports, is that access in and out is so incredibly limited. We've got Sunset Boulevard to PCH, and these other streets that come down into Sunset get jammed and clogged so quickly. That's why people were, I'm sure, panicking and leaving their cars, just worried that they weren't going to be able to get out.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. We have an update now. The fire's now grown to 1,300 acres, so another 100 acres since we've been on the air. Do you think there's people stuck?
I would be very surprised if there weren't some people stuck. We have elderly people. We have people that can't walk. And unless they have a family member or neighbor at the ready helping them out, it's very frightening. Because, like I said, everything is jammed up. Even if you can get out of your house, you need to get out of the neighborhood, and it's not easy.
Sue Cole, we thank you for joining our coverage tonight. I'm glad you're in safer grounds right now. I do want to go back to Chase, who is on the scene there at Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. I also want to bring in our meteorologist, Bill Cairns. Bill, I'm going to start with you. Walk us through what Chase is seeing right now and sort of the conditions that are surrounding him and his team.
Yeah, let me give everyone a view of what areas have actually burned and what areas haven't. So here's Los Angeles, here's Malibu. This is where the fire is located, kind of in between the two here. And so closer view in, everywhere that's shaded in red here is acreage that have burned. And the first thing you'll notice, it's not like a solid area. It's not like a wave has just raced through. The fire was spotting. Firefighters were originally fighting it here, but because it's so windy, the embers were getting in the air, they said it was like a half mile behind them. All of a sudden they'd turn around and they'd see a new fire starting. So that's why we have these different pockets. And you can notice we've got the fire all the way down to the coast. So the Pacific Coast Highway is down here on the edge, and then we get Sunset Boulevard, and then the road where all the cars got blocked, Palisades Drive, was the road that went up like this, up to the north here. And so it was a congestion point there where everyone was trying to evacuate heading down. That's where the bulldozers had to go and push the cars to the side so the firefighters could get up there. But the fact that we had those embers burning to the south and then spotting down in the city, like where Chase is located, that's what really caught some people by surprise. The people were walking down Palisades Drive to where Chase is, and at the same time, new fires were forming and spotting. So as we go through the night, right now winds are about 40 to 60, but they're going to gust up to 80 to 100. So this is kind of just the beginning. So all the areas that are still the hot spots here, we could have new spotting and new fires forming as the fire will burn to the south towards the coast. So firefighters will be trying to protect homes and structures all through the coastal areas here in Topanga Beach too as we go throughout the night. And then if any new fires form, obviously that's going to do the exact same thing is this one. So here's the current wind gust. 36 in downtown LA, or at the airport at LAX, 43 of Venice. That's where this fire is. But there's other high gusts too if we get any new fires. Tom, I did see one report of something called the Gulch Fire has just formed. That's a more remote area, so we're not as concerned with that one. But all night long, this is going to be going on.
Okay, Bill, stand by for us. I do want to go back to Chase. Chase, for our viewers that may not be familiar with Southern California, where you are right now, talk to us about some of the population centers as this fire moves further south and I guess moves further east, possibly with those winds. What are some of the population centers around LA that could be affected?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, this is a pretty densely populated area. Again, I mean, Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Pier would just be in my line of sight in this direction if we could see through the smoke. And then back the opposite way to the left side of your screen, that would be Malibu. So Pacific Palisades is kind of situated at the edge of Los Angeles between Santa Monica and Malibu. Already 30,000 people that have been evacuated, but depending upon where new fires might pop up or if the existing ones spread, I mean, these evacuation orders could expand. You see the cars that are coming through here. One of the things that was happening, and I think Bill did a good job of maybe showing you this on the map, is that these fires were spotting, so it's not like one continuous area. So there were people who were trapped in their homes, and police and fire said, you can't get out, you just got to stay here, and we're gonna try and keep you safe as the fire truck comes through here. So now that the fire has shifted a bit, they're trying to get people out of there. They really just want people out of this entire area because the winds have picked up a lot in the last hour, 40 to 60 miles an hour, Bill said. It's hard to imagine 80 to 100. I mean, that's hurricane force wind gusts. What that can do to a wildfire when the conditions are this dry. It's been more than 8 months since Los Angeles has gotten significant rainfall. So we are in a drought here in Southern California, and that truly makes this a dangerous, life-threatening situation, Tom.
And then before you go, Chase, in California right now, in Los Angeles, around what time is sunset? Because we know there's about 300 firefighters that are trying to battle this blaze. Once the sun goes down, it's going to get even more dangerous. Do we know what time around roughly that's happening? Because it may even happen earlier with all the smoke clouding the sun right now.
Officially sunsets around 5 o'clock, so we've got about 40 minutes left officially, but I mean, I can tell you this, it's been dark for a while because of this smoke, and actually just in the last few minutes, it's gotten a little bit brighter as the smoke has changed direction, as the wind has changed direction just a bit, so they don't have much daylight left. The good news is that fires and embers are easier to spot at night, but the bad news, as Bill mentioned, is that these winds are going to get stronger tonight, so we're really just heading into an even more dangerous situation.
Okay,
as the sun goes
Chase,
down.
you and your team stay safe. Bill, I'm going to let you have the last word here. What do you think is going to happen with the way the wind is pushing right now, and what can we expect come morning?
Yeah, in the beginning of this fire, it was kind of contained away from structures, but now that it's gotten into these structures, the latest updated map from CAL FIRE did show numerous blocks that actually, the fire is burned through, so you assume that a lot of those homes were lost. And because the heat produced in the embers from these homes when they burn, it easily spreads to more homes. So unfortunately, more structures are going to get lost overnight, especially as the winds begin to really increase and pick up. They're estimating maybe a couple dozen homes right now. By the time we get to the morning, that number may unfortunately double. We hope not, but with winds up to 100 miles per hour, you could easily picture that happening. The wild card, Tom, is, will new fires form, and where will they form? And what will they be rural, or will they head through more communities? And this goes all the way down to San Diego tonight too. So I know we're focusing on where this fire is, but this is as dangerous a wind event as we've had in Southern California in a couple years. I mean, we're going to see wind damage even without the fires. And then if you get another fire that forms, look out, just like this one. And it relaxes tomorrow about noon. So we got about 12 hours, a little 16 hours of everyone on pins and needles, just praying new fires don't form.
Bill Cairns for us tonight. Bill, we thank you for all of your coverage as well. Coming up, we're going to have much more on the wildfires ripping through L.A. Liz Kreutz live on the fire line. Plus, new video just into Top Story showing bulldozers removing abandoned cars on highways to make way for first responders rushing to the blaze. And we have new details tonight in the Cybertruck bombing in Las Vegas. Officials are revealing the suspect used AI to plan the attack. We're going to explain after this break. We're back now with the breaking news out of Los Angeles. I want to get right to Liz Kreutz, who's live in the fire zone tonight. Liz, I don't know if there's a better image that says how devastating these fires are. You have fires in the canyons. You have palm trees on fire. Explain to our viewers where you are and what's going on.
Hey, Tom, we're in the same park, the same parking lot on the beach. So we were at just, 20 minutes ago when we were talking to you. Things have changed so fast. The winds have really picked up, and just behind me here, it's remarkable. You can just see those flames, the dark plume of smoke. This hill was untouched when we talked to you before. The embers, because of those strong winds, got blown, now up in flames. I can see in the distance to my right, there's homes over here in the ridge. There's flames behind those homes. Firefighters and first responders are just arriving to the scene here, and the flames have jumped the Pacific Coast Highway. And as you can see, those palm trees up in flames. And again, I mean, we were here, my producer, Jim Sita, he saw the ember, a small little ember hit one of the palm trees. It started to ignite, and within 5 minutes, all 5 of those trees are up in flames, and you can see how much they're moving with the wind blowing them over. On the beach here, every trash can is blown over, just to give a sense of how strong and windy it is. And it's changing very fast as the winds move towards the coast, Tom.
And then, Liz, we're seeing some traffic behind you. Are those people, a lot of them are cop cars, are they people getting out? And which way is the way to safety, or is it too tough right now?
You know, it's hard to know, right? Often it's like get to the coast because you have the beach here. That's sort of a safe area, but the winds are pushing it here. And right before we came on with you, one of those cop cars drove by and did say on a speaker, you know, you should get out. So, you know, our crew is likely to do that when we're done talking to you and find a safe place, excuse me. And I did see a few people, mostly it's cleared out, Tom, but we have seen a few people who did walk by with suitcases on bikes trying to get out. And in that press conference, officials continued to reiterate, as did the governor, that if you are told to evacuate, you need to get out. You need to heed that warning. Thankfully, right now, we talked about that traffic. It's let up. Pacific Coast Highway is moving along. You can hear that siren right now, the cop telling that gentleman on a bike to get out.
Yeah, we're going to listen to him as well, Liz. We're going to let you go. You and your team, please get to some safety. Incredible reporting. When we return, we speak to someone who had to evacuate this fire, the race to get out before flames reach their home. Stay with us. Okay, we are back now with our continuing coverage of the wildfires in Los Angeles. It's grown to at least 1,300 acres. It's jumped the Pacific Coast Highway, so burning on one side of the highway and the canyons on the other side. Our teams are spread out across southern Los Angeles tonight covering the storm. We're going to bring you much more later in the broadcast. We do want to update 2 stories because we have some new reporting on the 2 big stories we've been following the last couple days. The first out of Las Vegas. Tom Winters here, who's broken a lot of news on both this story and New Orleans. Let's start with Vegas first. Talk to me about the new reporting you have on this bombing, if you will, and how AI played a role.
Right. So this is the incident that happened at the Trump Hotel that we were covering last week, and so much information came out today. What has been a huge concern, Tom, the entire past year or so, law enforcement agencies coast to coast, really globally, worried about when will AI be used by a terrorist or an attacker to help plan something out. And it appears in the United States, for the first time, AI was used, and it was used in this particular instance. The individual that you're looking at there, the person who drove that Cybertruck, he apparently was searching on one of the AI chat platforms of how much explosives do I need to put this bomb off? How many fireworks do I need to help with my explosive? He was even looking up, one of the things that he had in the truck is a specific explosive powder that if you fire a bullet at it, but it has to be fired at a specific velocity, Tom. So it's going to be the right bullet at the right speed, and then that powder will explode. It's typically used for target shooting. He was looking for that information as well as information on, can I get a phone without having to register information? It was spitting back answers to him, and this is something they're really concerned about.
Can I ask you maybe a blunt question, and it might be complicated, so I get it if you can't answer. Did AI assist in this bombing?
I think it is safe to say that he received information that could have helped him out. I will say this, there are AI, like if you go to any one of the AI mainstream chatbots right now and you said, hey, help me make a bomb, they will tell you, we can't do that, we won't do that, that'll hurt somebody. But if you start to tweak the questions a little bit, you might get some more information that is not perhaps readily accessible, or as we know from AI searching and AI-assisted searches, Tom, we do it all the time, it might give you some information that would take you a long time to search and get, and that's where it appears it's going to be helpful. It's something law enforcement is really looking for additional cooperation from these AI companies. Hey, tell us when somebody starts to go down this rabbit hole.
Tom, a really important piece of reporting tonight. We appreciate you being here tonight on Top Story. I now want to go to New Orleans because we have more new reporting on New Orleans as well, and that terror attack that killed 14 people in the Big Easy. The FBI releasing new images of the man responsible for the fatal Bourbon Street ramming as they try to piece together his motive. For more on this, I want to bring in Jesse Kirsch live tonight. Jesse, talk to me about what the new images show us and what we're learning.
Yeah, so Tom, let's go right to that picture. This is of the attacker from New Year's Day in New Orleans on Bourbon Street when he was making one of his visits ahead of this attack in the months beforehand. The FBI releasing these images. They show Jabbar riding a bike through the French Quarter. These were taken on Halloween, according to the FBI, and they're asking for anyone who might have come across him between 2 and 6 p.m. on Halloween in the French Quarter to reach out to them. We know previously that, according to authorities, he used smart glasses to record video while he was riding the bike through the French Quarter, and just a couple of months later, this deadly attack, Tom.
Yeah, they must have matched the information on those glasses to that surveillance camera to get that one image. I know you spoke with Louisiana's Attorney General. What did you learn?
Yeah, so she is now calling for a full review of safety planning leading up to New Year's Eve. And as we've continued to report it on for a week now, Tom, there were warnings about the bollard system on Bourbon Street. The new bollards being placed on Bourbon Street appear to not be as strong as they need to be, possibly to stop a terrorist threat. So there are all these questions about security planning around Bourbon Street, both for New Year's Eve, other major events, but also just for day-to-day, what they have in place there. And I asked the Attorney General if she knows at this point, based on the early days of her looking into this, who was actually, at the end of the day, the person in charge of security for Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve. And here's part of my exchange with the Attorney General when asking about that. At this point, you don't know definitively if, at the end of the day, it was the superintendent who should have been calling the shots versus the Department of Homeland Security.
I just think there's a lot of competing factors that are in play. And I don't want to prematurely judge who or what or why until we collect all of that information.
And part of what she's referring to there, Tom, is that the French Quarter has a lot of overlapping jurisdictions in terms of the types of organizations and law enforcement groups that have various amounts of authority there. And so that is one of the questions right now, is who was in charge? Was it multiple people who would have been making decisions? And that's something we're hoping to get more information on. There's a public works hearing tomorrow with the city council here that is going to be addressing this. And the AG here in Louisiana says she hopes to have at least some preliminary findings by April, Tom.
Yeah, that clock is ticking as the Super Bowl is right around the corner, as you know, Jesse. Okay, Jesse Kirsch for us tonight. Jesse, we thank you. Our breaking coverage of the Los Angeles wildfire is going to continue right after this short break. Winds fueling these fast-moving flames. People forced to run from their homes. We speak to a resident who had to evacuate in a moment's notice. And these are live pictures tonight from Los Angeles showing smoke filling that sky over California. Stay with us. You're looking live right now at those wildfires in Los Angeles. These are the Palisades fire that are now threatening Santa Monica as well. 1,300 acres burning right now. Firefighters do not have this under control. There's 300 of them trying to put out this fire. They have helicopters, they have airplanes, as you saw there. People have been evacuated from their homes. So far, no reports of injuries, but it's still very, very early, and you can see the type of damage this fire is doing. Someone who did evacuate, Stephanie Libonati, she joins us live now. She's a Palisades resident, and she evacuated from her Highlands home and called 911 after seeing a fire start in her backyard. Stephanie, pick up the story from there for me.
Yeah, so I believe I was the first 911 caller, and I was just sitting with my brother in the office of our house, and I went to get up to go to the bathroom or something, and I looked outside and I just saw smoke and some orange and red flames, and I screamed, "Fire, fire, we have to go." And we ran outside, we started telling our neighbors, we got the hoses out, started, putting water everywhere we could in our backyard, and then we just got out.
Stephanie, we're seeing the photos that you sent us in. Talk to me about what you thought when you sort of saw those plumes of smoke that turned into clouds of smoke and the flames in the distance.
I was just scared. It was just coming faster than it really was. And I just wanted to make sure my family got out safely, and my dogs and my neighbors as well. it was just moving so fast. It was just all a blur kind of. We were just running around, just trying to get out of there.
Sometimes, you know, these things pop up and they spread so fast. Emergency responders and government officials can't get the warnings out. Were you guys warned about this? Did you know this was coming?
No, I literally just looked out the window. I had, just on my normal Tuesday morning, and there were just flames everywhere.
The wind, when did it start to pick up? Has it been very strong over the last few days, or did it kind of just start today?
Last night, it really picked up. You could hear it howling throughout the night. And then this morning, when I was walking my dogs with my brother, we were talking about how windy it was and how scary that can be for fires. And then, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later, the fire started.
You see all those cars we saw earlier in the broadcast, those cars that were abandoned right on the highway as people tried to get out and they couldn't. The gridlock was too bad and the fire was jumping the Pacific Coast Highway. Do you think there's people that weren't able to evacuate because it was moving so fast?
I think so. I think a lot of people were having a hard time getting out because there's really only one way in and one way out of the Highlands. So I think, people were scared, and that's why they did jump out of their cars. That was their way out instead of just being stuck there. What's your sense, being somebody who lives in California? I know there was really bad wildfires back in 2011 that spread so fast because of the winds, this sort of wind event coupled with a wildfire. What's your sense of what's going to happen in the days ahead there in California? I'm just hoping that the wind starts to die down, and I know we have the best fire team ever that's going to help do their best to save as many houses and as many people as they can, and that's kind of all we can hope for. Have you been able to talk to family and friends? Were they able to get out? Yeah, my mom's friend who lives in the area, it actually took her a while to get out. She was stuck at her house due to, cars and fire trucks and everything, but she was able to get out. My family was able to get out. I know my neighbors and everybody in my cul-de-sac were also able to get out. And then so since you've evacuated, are they opening shelters there? Have you heard for people that may need it since they're evacuating? I think it was around 30,000 people at last check. Yeah, so I saw they were maybe opening a spot in Westwood, but my grandfather lives out in Santa Clarita, so we immediately called him and said, hey, can we head out to you? And he said, come on this way. So we've been hunkered down here ever since, just watching the news and waiting to see what happens. And have you ever seen it this bad? No. I don't, well, maybe this bad, but not this close to home. Do you think do you have any idea of if the fire or the wind shifted or if it was coming directly for your home? I'm not sure. The last I saw on our Ring cameras is we saw some firefighters running into our backyard with hoses. And the next time we went to go check, all the internet and the power has been cut, so we can't access our cameras anymore. What was that like to see that? Scary. Very scary. Because we weren't sure if our house was on fire, they were putting water on our roof maybe to help if an ember went by. Yeah, you never know. Stephanie Libonati, I'll be thinking about you tonight. I'm sorry you and your family are going through this right now. I know it's really tough, but I'm sure we'll stay in touch. And we thank you, of course, for joining the show. We're going to be right back after this short break. We are back now with the state of emergency in Los Angeles. 1,300 acres on fire right now, burning in the Palisades, just west of downtown Los Angeles. 30,000 people have been told to evacuate, some not able to get out in time, having to evacuate from their cars as they were on the highways. Flames spreading as far as the eye can see, the sky filled with plumes of smoke, more than 300 firefighters right now on the scene. NBC News crews are spread out all over the fire zone, including Chase Kane, who has been following this from the get-go with his team. Chase, you're joining Top Story Live now. I saw a lot more action behind you about maybe 30 seconds ago. There were a lot of police cruisers around there. Had they been telling people just to get out and for the traffic to sort of flow in one direction?
Yeah, exactly, Tom. This is the Pacific Coast Highway, the famous highway that runs along the California coast. It's typically a beautiful place to be. not right now. You're also probably noticing these wind gusts that have certainly picked up in just the last couple of hours. What you're noticing is these people are coming down Sunset Boulevard onto the PCH. Off to the right of your screen would be towards Santa Monica. They're trying to get people to go down to Santa Monica so they can sort of fan out into the rest of Los Angeles. There were a number of people back here in Topanga Canyon, up Sunset Boulevard, and some of the canyons, the densely populated canyons just in these hills off the Pacific coast, who basically have been surrounded by flames as these fires had, picked up embers and they create new hot spots. It's called spotting. So as that happened, some folks weren't able to get out right away. So that is part of what they've been up to, is trying to just get those last few people out of there, because as these winds pick up overnight, Tom, Bill Cairns was telling us earlier, 80 to 100 mile an hour winds, possible hurricane force winds overnight. They don't want to take any chances with anyone being left in harm's way, with really no way to control these flames.
Chase, we're looking at some of the video that I'm being told by the control room that you actually shot, and there's a lot of fire and a lot of flames. How quickly did this fire sort of explode?
And Tom, if you can hear me, we've lost signal, so stand by if you can hear me.
We still have you if you can hear me. We still have you, Chase. You there? Can you hear me? Okay, we're going to go to Bill. We're going to come right back to Chase once we have him and he comes back live for us. Bill, obviously this is an ongoing situation. It's a live situation, and there's a state of emergency in Los Angeles right now. You could see the wind, how strong it was, just blowing his sort of flak jacket right there. Talk to us about what you're seeing tonight on the radar and how bad it's going to get.
Yeah, and first, with Chase, it's amazing all the pictures we've been showing you is all through cell phones. And it's amazing that the cell phone coverage has stayed up throughout this event. A, because everyone evacuating has been wanting to use their phones to communicate with loved ones. And then we have all our reporter crews out there, and plus the fire crews. So, yes, it's not surprising that we're going to have some technological issues. Now, with the fire itself, it is still spreading. It's still spotting, as we call it. New fires are still forming, but it's already made its way down to the ocean. So now it's just going to be, we're not going to see the acreage jumping like we did during the day today, because it doesn't really have a lot more distance to go. Tonight, we're going to get into the extreme wind category. Today was what we'd call the second highest level. Tonight and tomorrow, we get to the extreme, and that's when we have the lowest relative humidity, the highest winds, and that's when the fire danger would be the greatest. You saw how bad it was today. Imagine if any new fires form tonight or into tomorrow. I mean, downtown LA, 63. In Malibu, which, not too far away from where this fire is, gust expected tonight to 74 miles per hour. So these are pretty unheard of numbers. These are not on the top of mountains. These are the numbers that are in actually the cities at the foothills, at the base of the mountains. It'll be even higher once you get up there in the higher terrain. So this is the map that's for tonight into tomorrow. So we have an elevated risk, critical, and extreme risk. It's pretty rare. The extreme fire risk is only supposed to be issued on average about once every 4 years. We just had it a couple of weeks ago with the Franklin fire, that horrible one near Malibu. And there was another one in November. So, yeah, Southern California's been doing this way too often. But from Santa Clarita to Glendale, all the mountainous areas here, just north of L.A., just north of where this fire is located in Malibu, if any fires form in this area late tonight, Tom, that's going to be the area of concern. And we will notice this does head all the way down the coast, too, outside of Oceanside and the mountains outside of San Diego. We're worried tonight with those high wind gusts, power lines coming down, sparking new fires. That's going to be a big concern, too. And there's been a huge problem with arsonists in Southern California with a lot of fires lately. And so I know we got to watch out for that, too.
When will Los Angeles sort of get a sense, as there's a state of emergency tonight, and as you've highlighted along with our crews, it is sort of in this corner of Los Angeles, but it continues to grow. When do you think they'll get a sense of this thing is now growing completely out of control, or maybe we can get a handle on this?
Well, the way the winds are blowing, so the winds are going to be blowing out of the north and northwest. So this is where the fire is located. Here's LA. So as long as the wind, see these little orange arrows we have on here? That's the wind direction. So the fire has to follow the winds. And so the winds are going to push it towards the coast and towards the ocean. They're not going to be pushing it towards LA. For the most part, that really nasty smoke plume all day long was out over the ocean. It wasn't heading into downtown LA, thankfully, and that's not expected to change tomorrow either. So if you're in downtown LA, you can see it in the distance, but your air quality and everything else is a lot better than everywhere else. So for, I'd say for about 80 to about 85% of Los Angeles, Tom, they're watching this from the distance, and they're just praying nothing else forms that would affect them. But yeah, there's really no chance that where the fire is located now, it's not going to head this way. It's going to head towards the coast, and if anything, maybe a little bit towards the west.
Bill, if you can see the monitors, Brett, who's our director, Brett Holy, I don't know if you can go back to that image you just showed of downtown Los Angeles. Brett, I should say, I'm sorry, Bill, how long do you think this will be sort of the reality for Los Angeles, this kind of scene where you can't even see the sky or the horizon?
Well, all day tomorrow for sure, because this thing, even if the winds are going to be so high, we're going to have all new hot spots. By the time we get towards Thursday, the winds come down a little bit. I bet you it'd be till Friday that we have normally clear Los Angeles skies. This smoke will be an issue, especially the western half of LA and the beaches. Not for downtown though. I think downtown, unless a new fire forms, should be okay.
Okay, I want to go back to Chase Kane. Him and his team are still in the fire zone tonight. They've been with us throughout the broadcast. So Chase, we lost you there for a second, but I was just going to ask you, you've been covering this throughout the day. You're actually sending in video that you shot yourself and your team shot. How quickly did this sort of explode?
I mean, faster than anything I've seen. I mean, I've covered dozens. I would not even want to guess how many wildfires I've covered, Tom. I've not seen one quite like this, and I've certainly not seen one quite like this in such a densely populated area. I mean, yeah, what I was experiencing is my producer and I were trying to get down Sunset Boulevard to where we are now at the Pacific Coast Highway. Traffic is at a gridlock. There's fire trucks trying to make their way through. Once we finally get up to them, we realize that a fire has come down the side of the hill, and that's where I didn't realize at the time, but our correspondent Liz Kreutz was there with her producer, that they were trapped in that, and firefighters and police were telling people, stay in the car, and then once it was safe, getting another one of those big wind gusts, once it was safe, they asked people to get out of their cars, and so some people had abandoned cars on Sunset Boulevard, which is why we've seen some video of bulldozers that have just had to push the cars to the side of the road so that fire trucks and ambulances and emergency vehicles can get through. You're seeing more of that here, where at this gas station just across Pacific Coast Highway, just a little earlier in the show, we saw utility crews out here turning off the power in this area because there were some of those embers that have been picked up by these increasingly strong winds, started a fire at the base of this power pole next to a gas station. A really bad combination. Up here on the ridge line right now, you're seeing that thick smoke that's blowing over the ridge toward the Pacific Ocean. As I was making my way down on foot, there were several homes along Sunset that caught fire. A gentleman just stopped by a moment ago and said, he said that there were at least a dozen, maybe 24 homes up there on that ridge that had also caught fire. So it was a really dangerous situation. A condo building here. There's a mobile home park. This is a really developed, really popular part of LA, a popular beach here at Will Rogers State Beach, Tom. So folks here in Southern California are familiar with the area, and a lot of people are hurting as so many people had to just run out of their home as quickly as they could with what they could carry under their arms, even some people carrying suitcases down the sidewalk, Tom.
Yeah, Chase, I did want to ask you, we see the wind at times hitting your jacket. We see it right now. How strong is it? How strong does it feel?
I mean, I've covered some hurricanes. We both covered some hurricanes and tropical storms. I mean, this feels pretty close to a hurricane force wind gust. We've had sustained tropical storm force winds, and as Bill Cairns was telling us earlier, we can expect gusts overnight, potentially 80 to 100 miles an hour. It's just kind of difficult to conceive what that will mean with all of these hot spots still burning. I mean, even right now, maybe hard to hear on the microphone, but we're just hearing the wind howl between the buildings, knowing that there are these flames and embers tucked in between the trees and brush and buildings up on this ridge line.
Okay, Chase, once again, every time I talk to you, you and your team are doing a phenomenal job, but please stay safe, and if you have to go, please break down and go. I do want to get to Alan Clevens. He's another person who had to evacuate from the Malibu coastline as these wildfires exploded. He's now in Calabasas, which is just a little bit north and to the west, away from where those winds are blowing. Talk to me about your experience and when you knew it was time to go.
Yeah, I woke up this morning. It was obviously quite windy outside, but some of my neighbors and I just kind of hung out. We were ordered a mandate to evacuate, and we stayed by and we watched the fire come down. But I got to tell you, it's some of the footage that I took on my phone was really scary. These fire departments, they're doing the best they can, but there's no way to control this. This was out of control, completely out of control.
Is this something like you haven't seen before in your area?
Yeah, I mean, we've had Malibu fires, but obviously not so close to my place. And, I live right up the street from the Getty Museum, and there's, trillions of dollars of art. So we're thinking, oh, that'll be fine. They'll protect it. But everything was on fire when I was leaving there. And I left probably a half hour ago.
Did you get any kind of warnings? I've been asking people this that live in the area. Did you get any type of warnings? Sometimes these things just can take people by surprise. Did you have any idea this was going to happen?
I mean, we didn't know there was going to be fires. We got the alerts that, there's a red flag warnings and 80-mile-an-hour winds. But when we saw the fire this morning, I was out, and then my neighbor called me and said, hey, you should probably come home. There's a fire close to us, but it didn't look so bad. And then by the time I got home, it was just, the winds were just, it doesn't matter which direction they were coming from. Yeah. Super scoopers were, grabbing water from the ocean and dropping it right by our house. I mean, the photos you're seeing right now, that's right by where I'm at. I mean, it's insane.
Alan, I'm glad you got to safety. One of our teams is right by the fire tonight. Jacob Soboroff is live on the scene for us, Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Palisades. Jacob, talk to me about what you're seeing out there.
Tom, I have to tell you, this is the neighborhood I was born and raised in. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. I'm standing on the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Amalfi Drive in the Pacific Palisades, part of Los Angeles. You can see the fire over on the ridge there as it approaches Will Rogers State Park. On the other side of that mountain you're looking at, these are the Santa Monica Mountains as the hill goes up in flames. As I'm speaking to you right now is the Pacific Palisades Village. Beyond the Pacific Palisades Village are the Pacific Palisades Highlands, where we have been watching all day as literally thousands of people have been evacuating from up in the hills. Some of these places have only one or two roads, if that, on the way out. It has been a complete gridlock here on the west side of Los Angeles as this fire, which is as big as I have seen in my lifetime, not only, and Tom, look at this as this smoke is being, you can tell the direction that the smoke is blowing in right now as you watch from the fire on the ridgeline. I don't think anybody here has seen anything like it in any of our lifetimes. Let's go see if we can talk to this gentleman here for 1 second as he's watching. Sir, we're live on NBC News. Do you mind if I get a quick word with you?
Sure.
What's your name?
My name's Nick.
Nick Jacob. It's nice to meet you, and I'm sorry it's under this circumstance. This is your house right here.
This is my house right here, yeah. We first thing this morning when the first truck came by, I knew there was something going on. And then I knew when it was in the Highlands, in the bottleneck, it was going to be a problem. And then it was.
How long have you lived here in the Palisades?
I've been here for like 5 years. Yeah.
This is your home here. Let's just take one step out, Nick. Come this way with me. As you can see, I mean, we can see here on the ridge, what's your calculation? When are you going to go?
I've been watching it all day, okay? It started out on that ridge line. You can see this cloud. Once the cloud plume is getting close to being over our heads, which is about right now, I'm out of here. But right now, I'm trying to stay as long as I possibly can. My mom and, my mom's fortune went into purchasing this home, and this is all we got, and so I'm gonna try and stay as long as I can.
I see your little dog in the car there, Nick.
There's two of them, yeah. There's two of them, little Doxy. He'll bark your head off. She's ready to fight. She's ready to fight the fire. This one.
And so just to look here, I mean, you've got your car packed up. You've got your house ready to go. What's stopping you from leaving? The wind, we can feel the wind coming this direction on us right now.
Just hope. I don't know. I mean, I've been watching the airdrops all day. They had the 747s doing the big drops, but all that FOS check wasn't hitting. So,
all right, Nick, I'm gonna let you get ready and get out of here. You be safe too. Tom, excuse the bad language, but these are the emotions that people are feeling out here right now. It is there's 23,000 people that live in Pacific Palisades. It's a neighborhood in Los Angeles, one of the biggest neighborhoods here. You can see as the cars come this way, they're coming out of the Palisades Village and evacuating eastward on Sunset Boulevard towards Los Angeles, the city center of Los Angeles. It was gridlock going that way towards the 405 freeway. People are evacuating on Pacific Coast Highway coming up to 10. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. What do you think is the difference here? You said you've never seen anything like this in your life, and you grew up there. Is it the wind tonight?
It's not only the wind event. This is a once-in-a-lifetime wind event in Los Angeles combined with the dryness. We have barely had any rain here in Los Angeles throughout the entire winter season, a negligible amount. I don't think that it's enough really to even measure. And so the combination of all of the vegetation that's grown over the years from the last couple of years of rain that we've had here, combined with the dryness right now, is a catastrophic sort of condition for a fire like this to break out, especially in such a populated area here on the west side of LA where there are so many people, Tom. We've talked about fires before. There was a fire at the Pepperdine University out in Malibu just a couple of weeks, if not a month ago. But they're certainly not in a place where tens of thousands of people live like this.
Jacob Soboroff, we appreciate you reporting tonight for Top Story. I know you're going to stay out there on the scene. Our coverage here on NBC News Now is going to continue with more on that state of emergency in Los Angeles. Wildfires exploding tonight, 1,300 acres burning right now. Our coverage continues.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, breaking news. Apocalyptic scenes across California. Our team is on the scene tracking the wildfires. The extreme winds are growing. Overnight, 3 catastrophic wildfires scorched thousands of acres in Southern California. The Palisades fire explodes in size, burning at a rate of 5 football fields per minute. The flames fueled by winds up to 99 miles an hour.
These gusts, it just is so strong.
Sending embers raining down on neighborhoods. Homes incinerated, one after the other, entire blocks engulfed.
Everything is catching fire here. We've just seen, 4 or 5 houses go up over the past few minutes here.
This famous high school caught fire.
Tens of thousands of people forced to evacuate.
Let's get out of here.
Racing from their homes, drivers forced to abandon vehicles on Sunset Boulevard. In this startling scene, a nursing home evacuated, people fleeing in wheelchairs.
The magnitude of the massive fire captured in this scene from above in a diverted passenger plane. Firefighters not only battling the relentless blaze, but the powerful, dangerous winds. We have team coverage on the front lines of the flames in this fast developing story.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. We want to get right to our top story this morning. That's that wildfire emergency in Southern California. Hard to wrap your mind around these images, truly devastating. Extreme winds have caused catastrophic damage, forcing tens of thousands of people to flee their homes. Many of those homes now destroyed. My brother lives in the area. He sent me these images overnight, including, I think, the second one right here shows the baseball field at Palisades High School right there. That's the baseball field at Palisades High School. Under fire right now.
Is he okay? Everything?
Yeah, he's fine. He did have to evacuate. He's in Brentwood right now, and they're all watching the winds to see if they're going to have to move out of there as well.
And the winds are the question.
Yeah, a lot of family and friends in that area who've had to evacuate Brentwood as well. They're keeping their eye on it, as you said, George. And people were forced to abandon their cars on the road. Bulldozers had to be called in to move the vehicles as more raced to escape. And take a look at this satellite image from space. You don't just see the smoke, you can see the actual flames from space.
Yeah, and we have extensive team coverage. Ginger is standing by with why this unfolding disaster is so rare and could get even more dangerous this morning due to those powerful winds. But first, our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, starts us off on the scene at the Palisades wildfire. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, Robin, you can just hear the house behind me continue to crash, and what we've seen here, house after house, in neighborhood after neighborhood, is sort of a domino effect. One house igniting the next, and so on. We have seen probably hundreds of homes, and now that the light has come up here, we have a little bit of more light to be able to see the scale of the devastation. Most of the Palisades, and George mentioned Pali High School, that's gone. Most of the downtown is gone, and probably hundreds of homes at this point. It is catastrophic, obviously a state of emergency. And because of those winds that you've mentioned, firefighters telling us they have simply not been able to keep up with this fire, which is being cast forward ahead of itself, sometimes hundreds of yards, sometimes miles ahead, starting new fires, not just here in Pacific Palisades, but across Los Angeles County.
This morning, those apocalyptic scenes in Southern California, now under a state of emergency, with over 50,000 people forced to evacuate their homes, fleeing for their lives as fires burned across LA County. Multi-million-dollar homes incinerated, one after the other. The largest fire tearing through the enclave of Pacific Palisades, one of the wealthiest in the country. It was fueled by historic winds, burning at a rate of 5 football fields per minute, gutting the Palisades high-end downtown area. Firefighters attacking the more than 2,900-acre wildfire from the ground and the air, but the fire exploding everywhere seemingly at once. Firefighters and locals overwhelmed.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry.
Tanner and his friend Orly racing to escape the home surrounded by flames.
Gotta get out of here. Holy.
A Santa Ana wind event the National Weather Service called the worst in over a decade, turbocharging the fire.
The fire is being fueled by a combination of strong winds and surrounding topography, which is making it extremely challenging for our personnel that are assigned to this incident.
There is nothing left of these neighborhoods. House after house on both sides of the street, completely gone. Many of them still on fire, not a firefighter in sight. And you can see all these embers being cast. And all that's left in many of these neighborhoods are just chimneys, burning homes.
The wildfire sparing no one, no vehicle or structure safe across Los Angeles County, home to 10 million people. The fire so widespread, no word yet on deaths or injuries. A commercial aircraft flying over the area capturing the magnitude of the massive fire.
The homeowners are saying they're unable to access any exit routes. There's fire on both sides of the roads on Palisades.
And right there on Sunset Boulevard, we saw the gridlock of drivers trying to flee the fire, abandoning their cars. But that made it impossible for firefighters to enter the fire zone, so a fire department bulldozer had to push dozens of the abandoned vehicles out of the way.
This is Sunset Boulevard, right in the heart of Pacific Palisades. And all of these cars, including us at one point, were stuck in this gridlock. And in order for firefighters to actually get to the fires, they had to carve a path. And so a bulldozer literally shoved all of these cars to the side. You can see the bumpers ripped off, the scratches along the vehicles here. There's glass in the roadway.
Dozens of homes obliterated by the flames as residents tried to flee. Flames inching up the hill of the Getty Villa Museum with more than 125,000 priceless artifacts at risk. On Malibu Beach, lifeguard stations ablaze, the ocean right there, but not close enough to save homes and businesses along the Pacific Coast Highway. The Rakusin family hosing down what they can before clearing the area, taking with them the hope that their home might be safe.
I started to hose off the home and hose down all of the shrubbery and the trees and bushes.
We don't know whether the house is going to be there or not.
The inferno also threatened the property of notable actors. James Woods posting this video from the view of his driveway.
We've got a lot of planes going over, dropping water.
Comedic actor Josh Gad taking to Instagram.
I have never seen flames from my house like this, ever. This is insanity.
And Police Academy star Steve Guttenberg helping his neighbors to safety.
I'm lucky. I'm able-bodied. And I think when you're able-bodied, that's a good moment for you to help out in your community.
I'm going to give you a sense of the neighborhood, Robin. Obviously, these houses burning, you might be able to see additional homes there burned. These already burned out, and more burning down over there. And this house over here, all that's left is a chimney and a spiral staircase. And, you know, we drove up here this morning, and I've been in the Palisades many, many times. My aunt lives here. My cousin lives here. My aunt's house is destroyed. I believe my cousin's is as well. I haven't been able to get there. But the place was completely unrecognizable. It will never be the same. And when we use the term apocalyptic, this is what it looks like. And for so many people across LA County, this became very, very real. Even driving home yesterday, there was a fire 300 yards from my house. Everybody in this county packing go bags to have them ready to go. Robin.
And that says so much. I want Matt and everyone to please stay as safe as you can possibly be at this point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the worst is far from over. Kanan Whitworth is in Altadena, California, tracking the Eaton wildfire. Good morning, Kana.
Yeah, Michael, good morning to you. So it's an incredibly chaotic scene out here at the Eaton fire. It's now doubled in size in the last few hours, at least 2,000 acres. I am telling you that we just saw day turn into night right in front of our eyes here. You can see this black sky, embers in the air, and what I'm showing you right over here, this is an elementary school that is completely engulfed in flames. There was also a wind gust not far from here, clocked at 97 miles an hour. That is grounding the aircraft, and this is what happens when you can't get air attack on these fires.
Overnight, the Eaton fire igniting roughly 30 miles east of the Palisades near Pasadena, blazing through Eaton Canyon. Resources strained and high winds grounding the vital air attack.
There's no words to even describe how heartbreaking. That's a life. That's your entire life. You don't get that back. The memories are gone. I hope they're alive.
Highly flammable materials in homes going up in a matter of seconds, fueled by strong winds, then casting embers onto the next home.
We're getting a 70 knot wind speed. We're going to have to shut down water dropping operations.
Our station's KBC reporter Leanne Suter on the ground as they record 80-mile-an-hour hurricane-force wind gusts.
These gusts, it just is so strong.
People rushing to get to safety.
I had to get our 95 and 90-year-old neighbors out because they were confined to their second story because she just fractured her hip. So I had to get them out.
The residents from convalescent assisted living facility frantically pushed across the street in wheelchairs to safety. And through it all, the Herculean efforts of firefighters working tirelessly day and night, some answering the call to action coming in from other areas, battling an unrelenting foe and fighting for every inch and every structure.
Now, we went to that assisted living facility. It was totally engulfed in flames. And again, I want to reiterate here, this is an elementary school, and you are seeing these heavy winds push this fire right across the street. It is blue sky over here. It is pitch black on this side, and they now have hose lines over trying to protect this entire row of homes here that is utterly in imminent danger. This whole thing is far from over, George.
Just terrific. Okay, Kana, thanks very much. Let's bring in Mark Cota-Robles from our partner station KABC. And Mark, I know you're stuck right in the middle of this. You're trying to evacuate your family and cover the fire at the same time.
And George, you shared some of that personal connection that you had to Palisades. I'll share my connection that, yeah, I live here in Pasadena, and although this is not my street, you're heartbroken at the loss. This home, a complete loss. Every home neighboring it is a complete loss. You can see some firefighters right now coming down the road, many of them just moving through. There's not much they can do. Here's a bit of good news right now. I can tell you the winds, they have died down just a bit from earlier. We saw incredible gusts overnight, tough to stand at times. The embers blowing through, that has diminished a bit. Now we are clouded in this smoke, the sun trying to come out, and we're seeing the aftermath of this fire. It is hard to pinpoint how many homes have been lost. At this point, dozens that we have seen here in Pasadena. I have never seen a fire to this extent in my 10 years living here. I am glad to say that my family, my children, they were able to evacuate. George?
Well, in such a bucolic community. Okay, Mark, thanks very much. We hope your family is safe. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Joining us now is California Fire Battalion Chief Brent Pasqua. And Mr. Pasqua, thank you so much for joining us in what we know is a very stressful and chaotic time for you. And from what we know and what we see, this is a fast expanding and fast moving fire. Can you tell us what you're seeing right now and what can you tell us about the Hearst-Sylmar fire?
Yeah, so right now we're all under the same conditions, the Santa Ana red flag conditions with those 70-mile-an-hour winds. Right now they've calmed down a little bit, but they're still 30 to 40 mile an hour. So that makes this firefight extremely difficult.
And how does Santa Ana winds complicate containment of the fire?
Yeah, so the winds are so erratic, they're spreading fire faster than our crews can get in front of it. So our most important priority is life safety. We're trying to get everyone out of the way. That way we do not have anyone hurt or killed.
And as you said, life safety, getting everyone out of the way. Evacuations are underway, but what's your advice to the local residents there?
Yeah, so for the local residents that may be in the area that are thinking about evacuating, if it's a thought, I would say do it. The earlier, the better. Have that go bag ready, have your emergency plan ready with your family, and execute it so you're all safe.
And Mr. Pasqua, have you ever seen anything like this in your experiences?
I have not. I've seen a lot of Santa Ana fires, get up to 40, 50 mile an hour. But last night I saw light poles being blown over, utility poles being blown over just from the wind, not even from the fire. So extreme fire activity out here on the Palisades fire.
Well, we want to thank you, really, you and everyone else, for all your hard work out there, because we know these conditions are very, very dangerous, and please stay safe.
You're welcome. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. And Ginger joins us now with more on these winds. They're so rare and dangerous right now.
So the winds happen about once every decade, and the National Weather Service in Los Angeles did a fantastic job warning well ahead of this storm. They were saying life-threatening winds. You know, Sunday night, Monday, they were talking about these winds. What's happening is this is happening in concert with one of the driest starts to the season on record. If you'll remember, guys, I was out there in LA last year this time, flooding. This is their wet season. And so this is not a normal combination of having these winds and having it be so dry. So any fire that starts, it's impossible to fight. Here's the other problem. You always have the big high. That's what causes Santa Ana winds regularly, that four corners high, as we call it. It sends the winds offshore. But enhancing these winds is that low pressure system, the same one that's going to give Dallas to Atlanta a winter storm. That thing is hanging out and making a tight temperature gradient and a tight wind gradient, which makes the winds even faster. So that's why we have extreme fire danger in that same area today. Malibu right through the San Gabriels, San Fernando. The wind gusts could easily, in the next couple of hours, stay in the 80 to 100 mile per hour winds range. And then look what happens. This is 8 a.m. Wednesday. We put some of the modeling on here. Pacific Palisades has a 50 mile per hour gust, as does Los Angeles. San Fernando close to 60. And by the way, the red flag warnings in the particularly dangerous situation stretches all the way down close to Escondido and San Diego. But look what happens by tonight. We're still seeing gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it's really not until tomorrow morning, which we took the model to, where we see things fall into a much more fire-fightable category. These wind gusts, Malibu had a 66 mile per hour gust, Burbank Airport more than 80. They're not going to stop for the next couple of hours.
Oh my. Okay, Ginger, thanks. President Biden was in Los Angeles when the fires broke out. Want to go to Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce for the latest from the administration. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, the president has been briefed continually and updated overnight. He is there in Los Angeles. He was there to announce 2 new monuments. Those plans have now been scrapped, and he'll be returning to the White House later today. The president, in a statement, saying he has offered any and all federal assistance needed. FEMA has already approved a grant to support the impacted communities and reimburse the state for firefighting costs. And Biden is urging residents to stay vigilant and listen to local officials. And the vice president, Kamala Harris, a California native, she has a home there in Brentwood. She says her heart goes out to everyone impacted. She is thanking the firefighters and first responders, and she is urging everyone to evacuate immediately if they are told to do so, guys.
And luckily, people are doing that. Mary, our thanks to you. And we're going to stay on top of the story, of course. And also, we're going to talk about the skyrocketing egg prices and shortages and what you can do to save some money.
Also ahead, we're going to break down a new study on the best ways to quit vaping.
And we'll have much more from California, as Robin said, on the raging wildfires. Let's go to Matt Gutman.
These apocalyptic scenes here in Pacific Palisades. Homes destroyed. Most of the downtown business area is gone. Pacific Palisades High School is gone. And those ferocious winds that fueled this destructive firestorm are only expected to increase later today into the afternoon. Much more on that coming up on GMA.
Hundreds of homes. Okay, Matt, thanks very much.
Coming up, Coach Prime is on his way to Times Square. Deion Sanders live on GMA. So you stay right there. We'll be right back.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry.
Back here on GMA, that video, just a glimpse of the dangerous situation unfolding in Southern California. It's from professional storm chaser Tanner Charles. Tanner and his friend Orly Israel are going to join us in just a few moments.
Okay, they're going to be coming up. Let's go first to our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman. He's on the scenes near the Palisades fire. Hello, Matt.
Hey, George, this is obviously a state of emergency here in Southern California. The worst winds here in over a decade. I want you to hear something. That hissing sound just happened a few seconds ago. It's a gas, I think, pipe that has exploded in that house behind us that just burst into flame within the past 5 or 6 minutes. Hundreds of homes in Pacific Palisades, the epicenter of the worst fires, have burned, including much of the downtown area. And I want you to notice how the embers are being cast by this fire, being blown downrange by this, I don't know, at this point, 20, 30 mile per hour wind, and that is causing additional fires. This is completely out of control at this point. Firefighters cannot get a grip on this fire. The wind is set to persist for many hours, even until tomorrow morning, so it's not going to get any better. We don't know of any fatalities or injuries just yet, but I just want to give you the scope. It's absolutely apocalyptic, and there's no amount of resources that can stop this at this point, George.
And Matt, I know this became very personal for you.
It is. You know, I've been in the Palisades. You can just see that house going completely up behind us. I've been here many, many times. My aunt lives here. And when I drove up this morning, it was completely unrecognizable. I couldn't even orient myself. So she lost her house. A cousin lost his house. Driving home yesterday, I encountered a fire. And it's not about me. It's about what about 10 million people living in LA County are experiencing right now, which is that terror of not knowing where that next fire is going to erupt. And if your family is going to be in the crosshairs of this. So I did what so many people have done overnight, which is yesterday afternoon telling my wife and kids, everybody get a go bag ready to go. We have to be ready to leave this house at a moment's notice. Fortunately for us, we did not. But that is the kind of terror that millions of people are undergoing right now in LA County. You can just see how much worse this is getting moment by moment here, George.
Okay, Matt, stay safe. Michael?
All right, and at least 300,000 customers are without power in Southern California this morning. Let's go back to Kanan Whitworth with more. Good morning again, Kanan.
Yeah, hey, Michael, good morning. Look, the wind has really picked up out here in Altadena, and you are seeing the strength of it on full display behind me. Look at how these gusts are absolutely shooting embers. Some are huge. Look at that. Shooting these embers right off of that building and across the street. I mean, this is utterly terrifying. This is part of the reason why this Eaton fire exploded so quickly, 1,000 acres and counting right now, is because winds like this, look, if you can see around here, I mean, it's just utterly destroying this building. Winds like this clocking in 60, 80 miles an hour. This is grounding aircraft. They cannot get aircraft on this fire until this wind dies down, and this is the result. This right here is that assisted living facility that we talked about earlier, where people were in wheelchairs and in beds being wheeled out of this building to safety. There are some really dramatic and scary decisions being made. And before I send it back, I want to bring you around this way, just so you can grasp that we are utterly surrounded by wind and fire, and it's so erratic that it is shooting wind that way and sending embers back this way. Firefighters are trying to put out multiple fires at a time and having to revisit them over and over again. It is an utterly terrifying scene over here, as you can also see. Look at, if you can zoom in back there, Jeff, that part of that entire building has just collapsed right onto the road, and the wind is still blowing right at us, guys.
Oh my gosh, Kana, you're really helping us really have a full scope of what everybody is enduring right now. Thank you. Please stay safe. And joining us now is professional storm chaser Tanner Charles and his friend Orly Israel, who lives there in Southern California. And gentlemen, thank you so very much. Orly, I know it's your home, that you have no idea if it's there or not right now. Just your emotions this morning. Could you share that, Orly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in disbelief right now watching Matt. He's blocks away from where I live, and just praying that my house is still there and knowing that so many people I know and love have just lost everything is, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it is unimaginable. And Tanner, I know you were the one who captured the video that we've been showing of when you all the flames were closing in and you were leaving your friend's Orly's house. Can you take us through those moments, Tanner?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like being in the town and just knowing that Orly was living in this neighborhood. I came up just to document the fire, but then ended up running into him just out of happenstance. And so we went up and observed the fire as it crept closer to the neighborhood. As things got closer, we ended up going back to his house and another friend's house that lives a couple blocks away. And we were just preparing the house. We were just like, putting water on all the bushes and on all over the house. We were taking cushions off, anything that was flammable, just trying to do our best to make sure that the house was as fireproof as possible. But then, as you can see in the video, it got to be too much, and we just, we had to leave. It just wasn't safe anymore.
No, and you had to leave. And Tanner, I heard when you were saying, we tried, and you all, as you just described, did everything you possibly could to help with your friend there. And Orly, what was going through your mind when this all was happening?
I fought as best I could. I was blazing that fire with a garden hose until I couldn't get close to it. My eyes are still stinging from the smoke and the flames. And so, I put up the best fight I could, and I gave it all I had.
And that's all you can ask. And we've heard, Orly, from Matt, from so many people who live there, that they have never seen anything like this before. Do you share those sentiments?
This is wild. I know people who live in the mountains who have fought back fires, but never seen fires just destroy, completely level an entire neighborhood, an entire city like this.
And Tanner, what about you? Because I think you're from Minnesota. You're a professional storm chaser out of Minnesota. You happen to be there. You want to help as much as you can. You've seen a lot of different type of disasters, and you don't compare despair. Whatever disaster for the person's going through it is devastating. But can you put into words what you've seen compared to other things that you've seen?
Yeah, so I've been storm chasing for 16 years, and I've come across devastation in towns and different things, but fires are just a different animal.
Yeah.
It's just so erratic, and you're experiencing it all in real time usually. And so when we're out there, it's just the landscape shifts constantly as time goes on, and you're seeing people evacuate right in front of your eyes. You're seeing people tossing things in their car and leaving and stuff, and you're seeing just hearing all the different sirens and everything. It's just such a chaotic environment. But keeping a level head is really what helped us to stay calm and to really understand what we needed to do, and also just being aware of the factors of the wind and which direction we were. And I was always keeping tabs to make sure that we were in a safe position, and until the last second, until we had to leave. So it was, it's unreal. It's unreal.
It's unreal for us seeing it. I can only imagine what it is for you living, as you said, in real time, going through that. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for just thank you. Just thank you so much, and appreciate all that you are doing to share with us, to help us have a better understanding. Please take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay,
thank
Michael.
Yeah, wild to hear that firsthand account. Now, with the cost of eggs skyrocketing, if you can even find them at your local supermarket. Elizabeth Schulze in Washington with the details. Good morning again, Elizabeth.
Hey, good morning again, Michael. This is a problem so many of us are feeling at the grocery store. They're either out of eggs, there's a limit on the number of cartons you can buy, or prices are unusually high. And the main culprit here is the bird flu, which has now affected more than 130 million poultry birds across all 50 states.
This morning, shoppers are scrambling to find store shelves stocked with eggs.
This is where the eggs normally are in Costco. The only thing that was there was a cart with a couple of boxes of mostly broken eggs.
Rising cases of the bird flu are forcing egg suppliers to cut production, causing shortages nationwide and skyrocketing prices.
They did not have any eggs to sell.
Brooke Jones says she visited grocery stores in the Dallas area in search of eggs.
We decided to go out and actually check some different egg sections at stores. And so that's how we came across empty egg shelves, high prices, signs.
Government data shows egg prices are up nearly 38% in the past year. Prices spiking 8% just in November ahead of the high-demand holiday baking season. On average, a dozen eggs will cost you $3.65 now compared to $2.14 1 year ago, with prices cheapest in the South averaging $3.40 and most expensive on the West Coast at $4.20. For retailers buying eggs wholesale in California, a carton is nearly $9. This pastry shop in San Francisco feeling the squeeze.
Since October, late October, prices are just high. And today I was wondering when this is going to stop.
Some other kitchen staples could soon get hit too.
You start thinking about offshoots of other things that have eggs in them, and mayonnaise typically, follows along the path. So that'll be the next one to kind of watch.
Now, the Department of Agriculture tells us it does expect egg production to rebound in the second half of this year as poultry flocks are rebuilt, and that should lead to some lower prices at the grocery store, Michael.
But until that happens, what can people do in the meantime to save money on eggs?
So when you're shopping, you do always want to check the price of store brands, Michael. They're often cheaper, offer bigger discounts. Consider some egg substitutes for baking. Applesauce, mashed bananas, or even flax seeds are good options. And then maximize the shelf life of those eggs to stretch your dollar further. The FDA says that eggs can be stored on a shelf in your fridge for 3 weeks after the sell-by date on the carton. Cooked eggs can actually last a week, and I did not know this one. You can even store eggs or egg whites beaten out of their shells frozen for up to a year, guys.
I didn't know any of that.
I didn't know, especially the 3 weeks.
I didn't
Are you
either.
sure about that?
A lot longer than you think.
Okay,
I won't
great.
test it. I can tell you that much.
That's good to know. Good to know. Can really save some folks some money.
And there you see former President Jimmy Carter lying in state there at the Capitol. Want to go to our national correspondent, Terry Moran, who's in Washington ahead of the funeral service tomorrow. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. This morning, the nation is paying Jimmy Carter one of the highest honors it can bestow. He is lying in the rotunda, lying in state under the Great Dome of the United States Capitol after making a moving and meaningful journey back to Washington, where he served as the nation's 39th president from Georgia, the state where he was born 100 years ago. Members of the public have been paying their respects last night and today as well before the state funeral tomorrow. And Carter's flag-draped casket arrived in snowy Washington on board an Air Force flight, Special Mission 39 it was called, and it stopped on Pennsylvania Avenue at the Navy Memorial, a moment to remember his years of service in the United States Navy. And then a horse-drawn caisson brought the casket up Pennsylvania Avenue, his family making the walk with him in the bitter cold. And at the Capitol, the military honor guard carrying the casket with solemn precision up those long steps and into the rotunda, his grandchildren serving as honorary pallbearers. And then a rare moment of unity in Washington, leaders and members of Congress of both political parties joining in a service of remembrance tomorrow, the state funeral at the National Cathedral before he returns home to Plains, where he'll be buried next to Rosalind Carter, his wife of 77 years. Guys?
Yeah, they're going to be together again, and you just can't overemphasize what an incredible human being, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. Apocalyptic scenes across California. 3 catastrophic wildfires scorched thousands of acres in Southern California. The Palisades fire explodes in size, fueled by powerful winds.
It just is so strong.
Sending embers raining down on neighborhoods. Homes incinerated one after the other.
Everything is catching fire here. We just seen, 4 or 5 houses go up over the past few minutes here.
Tens of thousands forced to evacuate. Drivers forced to abandon vehicles on Sunset Boulevard. Firefighters battle the relentless blaze and the dangerous winds. Our team is on the scene.
It's prime time. Deion Sanders is here. The trailblazing player and coach is back with a new behind-the-scenes season of Coach Prime, turning his Colorado team into winners.
How you feel? Good. How you feel? Fired up.
And his emotions about his last game coaching his son.
Plus, how having a holistic hobby could change your life in 2025. We're breaking down the new trend and the big benefits. Even volunteering just 1 hour a week can have a tremendous impact on your life. As we say,
Good morning, America!
Live from Times Square, it's Wednesday. Good morning, America.
Big group waiting for us upstairs. We have a very busy morning, as you know, here in Times Square, including that story about how you can help yourself while helping others. And we know so many people right now in California are depending on support from their communities.
That is right, Robin. And we begin with the very latest on the wildfire emergency out west, forcing tens of thousands to evacuate.
We're going to go back to our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, who is on the scene at the Palisades wildfire. Good morning, Matt.
George, you can see, this fire is just ripping this house behind me, sending those embers all the way down the street. There's obviously a state of emergency here in Southern California. The epicenter right here in Pacific Palisades. We've seen most of the business and downtown area is destroyed, likely hundreds of homes as well. No word yet on injuries and deaths here, but we know that the destruction is vast.
This morning, those apocalyptic scenes in Southern California now under a state of emergency, with over 50,000 people forced to evacuate their homes, fleeing for their lives as fires burned across LA County. Multi-million-dollar homes incinerated one after the other. The largest fire tearing through the enclave of Pacific Palisades, one of the wealthiest in the country. It was fueled by historic winds, burning at a rate of 5 football fields per minute, gutting the Palisades' high-end downtown area. Firefighters attacking the more than 2,900-acre wildfire from the ground and the air, but the fire exploding everywhere seemingly at once. Firefighters and locals overwhelmed.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry.
Tanner and his friend Orly racing to escape the home, surrounded by flames.
Gotta get out of here. Holy.
A Santa Ana wind event the National Weather Service called the worst in over a decade, turbocharging the fire.
The fire is being fueled by a combination of strong winds and surrounding topography, which is making it extremely challenging.
Everything is catching fire here. Trash bins, shrubs, trees, houses. The smoke is unbearable at this point. We've just seen, 4 or 5 houses go up over the past few minutes here. The entire area here looks apocalyptic.
A commercial aircraft flying over the area, capturing the magnitude of the massive fire. Dozens of homes obliterated by the flames as residents tried to flee. On Malibu Beach, lifeguard stations ablaze, the ocean right there, but not close enough to save homes and businesses along the Pacific Coast Highway.
I want you to see how the wind is bending the flames over the street. That is the major concern here, and you can feel the intensity of the heat coming off from that house. So many houses like this, and this is the challenge for firefighters across Southern California today. They don't know where the next fire is going to start because these embers are being cast hundreds of yards or even miles away, and these winds are set to persist throughout the day and even into early tomorrow. Guys.
A challenge beyond belief, Matt. Thank you. Kana Whitworth is on the scene at the Eaton fire. And how is it where you are right now, Kana?
You know, Robin, I tell you what, these winds out here have really kicked up something fierce here. And as you walk around, you can just see the destruction to this building. And it wraps all the way around at this point. We are utterly surrounded in fire, and you can sort of see those embers that are in the sky. Now, this happened so quickly because they couldn't get any air attack on this fire, right? They had wind gusts of 80 miles an hour. So the community was relying on each other. In fact, from this building right here, this is an assisted living facility. They had to evacuate people in wheelchairs and beds and run them up the road to safety. An utterly heroic moment, especially when you see this now. If it's safe to walk back just a little bit further, Robin, you can see all the sides of this building that have now fallen and they have collapsed on the ground. This is all that's left, and I'm telling you out here in Altadena, block after block, the destruction looks like this, Robin.
Oh, and Kana, we can not only see, but we can hear what it is that you all are going through right now. Thank you so much for your reporting, Michael.
All right, thank you, Robin. We're going to turn now to a new study that looked at the best ways to quit vaping. Ariel Recife is here to break it down for us. Good morning, Ariel.
Hey, good morning to you, Michael. Many people have turned to vaping to help quit smoking, but then how do you then stop vaping? This study included people ages 13 and over and found the most effective methods to help people quit were medication and text-based intervention. The study says the most effective method for giving up vaping was the medication varenicline, with 49 out of 100 people successfully quitting after 6 months. The second method showed the promise of text-based intervention in young people ages 13 to 24, with 29 out of 100 people quitting after 7 months. That said, more studies involving more people are needed to get a clearer picture of exactly what works here. The American Heart Association says e-cigarettes deliver nicotine, of course, which is highly addictive and can be especially harmful to teens whose brains are still developing. If you or someone you know is looking to quit vaping or smoking, the CDC offers a free helpline. Guys.
Oh, so important right there. Ariel, thank you. Coming up on our GMA Morning Menu, holistic hobbies, ways to care for others while also caring for yourself. And tell us what else is ahead here, Michael Strahan.
Coach Prime. Coach Prime. Oh, here he is. Robin looked over there and said, oh, he's a good-looking man. I said, boy, his head is going to get even bigger than it already is.
Go back a long way.
Deion Sanders, everybody. He's going to tell us all about the new season of Coach Prime, where he's going to take us behind the scenes of his season coaching the Colorado Buffaloes, yes, and much more. You need to fix it up after you destroyed my look. Oh, yes. Don't keep complimenting him. Don't do it.
Complimenting, but we're also going to tell you about Tori. She's here with the first deals and steals of the new year. And Lara's upstairs, Jamie Oliver.
I am. I love this. George, Jamie's back, and he's sharing a way to cook chicken that you can use for meals throughout the week. He's with me right now, handing me ingredients. Apparently, I'm helping. It's coming up on Good Morning America. Come cook with us, everyone.
It's gonna be delicious.
Let's go. Jamie Oliver in the house.
Literally playing my song, my tune. Back now with the GMA cover story and our Start Strong series, helping you put your best foot forward in 2025.
Yeah, I love this idea. Yeah. Let's do it, everybody. This morning we're looking at holistic hobbies and how taking time to help others this year can also be a great way to help yourself. Take a look. From gardening.
To make a bad garden bed look good.
To yoga.
With an exhale, open into Warrior 2.
Finding joy in a holistic hobby can have a great impact on your life.
A holistic hobby is a hobby that bridges both your personal growth and something that's good for other people or the world around you.
Career expert and author Laura Gassner-Otting adding there are many benefits to volunteering.
People who volunteer tend to volunteer with other people, so you get both the pro-social but also the actual social benefits of being around other people, which reduces loneliness and isolation.
One recent study suggesting that volunteering for as little as 1 hour a week was linked to slowing down your biological clock. A great reminder that it's never too late to try something new.
Now's a great time in the new year to get involved in a hobby, to find a group in your community that you care about.
And we're joined now by some incredible folks who are making big impacts in their spare time. And I want to start with you, Alexandra. Hi, Grace. How are you? But Alexandra, Women in Culture. Tell us about this group and how it empowers women through the arts.
Yeah, so Women of Culture is actually primarily a membership-based community designed to help women learn about, experience, and
we're seeing some of them doing
exactly. Yeah, we do creative workshops like this one because we really believe that the creativity is a way to get us out of our left side analytical brain and more into our right side where we're more open to connecting and meeting other people and forming the deep bonds that are so important to have right now.
Very much right now. And you are an ambassador.
I am.
For the group.
Yes.
And what are they doing right here? This is like a vision board that's really kicked up a notch or two.
So they are making bingo cards and vision boards, and bingo cards are the new trendy way for setting goals in 2025, acting as a new vision board. What happens is I made here an example is that as the year progresses, you could check off the goals that you've completed. And once you have bingo, you can reward yourself. So it's a great way of keeping yourself on track for completing your goals. You can also make it very meaningful and personal to you by listing hobbies or personal developments you want to attain and giving back to society. As you can see, I've listed appearing on Good Morning America. But I love photography, so I also want to take a photography class. And I also want to surround myself with uplifting folks like Women of Culture.
And I see them. Some people are taking pictures out of playbills. And just really
we're doing like a cultural bingo with it. All the things we want to go see in the new year and the different museums and shows that we want to do.
I know, you just personalize in what is important to you.
Yes.
Alexandra, Grace, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Lara.
Hi, Joy. Yeah, sorry, Robin. I'm trying to understand this because it's so fun what we're doing here. Animal Care Centers of New York City is here, and what they do is they're reading to the animals. This is a great way, Robin, to volunteer your time. We're talking about a holistic strong start for 2025. Catherine, can you explain why reading to these kittens is actually helping the kittens and helping yourself at the same time?
Absolutely. So part of our junior volunteer program is having students come to the shelter to read to animals.
I love this.
And this helps to socialize our animals so they get used to having new faces, new voices in front of their kennels. So when adopters come, hopefully those animals won't feel so scared. They won't hide, which helps to make them more adoptable.
Exactly, exactly. And what could be more fun than sitting and reading and reading to a little animal? That's like a dream. Evan, I know that you're one of the kids that is involved. I want to talk about your group. You guys are from the Service Collective, and you work with the Animal Care Center. Why do you do it, and how does it make you feel?
I think I do it because from the bottom of my heart, I really want to bring exposure and attention to animals that need it.
Yeah.
And honestly, it brings me such a great feeling when they get adopted.
Isn't it the best?
Yeah.
I share that with you, and I love it. I really appreciate what you guys all are doing, and hopefully we're inspiring lots of people to a strong start in 2025. So thank you for your work.
Well, Deion Sanders is here, as we all know. He's the Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. And he's the star of Coach Prime, which is produced by my company, Smack.
Love this show.
What do we call you? Deion Coach?
You call me what you want to call me. She can call me anything she wants to
She
call
calls you handsome.
This is
As soon as the show is over, we're going to get your eyes checked. Let's get into it. No jokes. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to be nice to you this morning. You started out at HBCU at Jackson State. Your coaching journey started a long time before that, but that's when you really hit the national spotlight. You did an incredible job there. Do you feel like you've inspired other former black athletes to go to HBCUs? Michael Vick now, Deshaun Jackson now at this press conference today.
Well, I feel like I'm blessed to be a blessing. And those guys you just mentioned, I've reached out to them and I want them to succeed immensely. So all the wrongs, all the rights, everything that I could give them and all the direction and guidance, I'm there for them. They're like my little brothers and I love it. I love that they're getting opportunities.
Yeah.
Because we never got these top opportunities. We comprise, I think, 75–80% of the team, but then we can't coach. That don't make any sense to me. So I'm thankful that we're getting opportunities.
Yeah, and doing such a great job at it. I want to talk to you about the Colorado Buffaloes. I've loved watching you all season. You guys have really turned it around, and that's what the show is all about. I love the show, Michael. You're fantastic in it. And we want to show a scene right now where you're dealing with one of your players. He's a bit of a handful. Your son. Take a look, everyone.
Oh, Lord, Jesus. This season is special because this is it. This most likely, and I'm pretty much 99 to 100% sure, will be the last time that I have an opportunity to coach my kids. Thankfully, the things that I've instilled in them, it won't depart from them.
Oh, you can see very emotional.
You're trying to make me cry.
What are your emotions knowing that they could be it?